Hi, welcome back to Just Checks Out. I am Jess, and I read a lot. I kind of have a booktube channel for it. You're here, so I'm assuming you know that. So I actually wanted to do an interesting review because I enjoy middle grade books, and I have read quite a few recently. But on this one, I want to talk about Ophie's Ghost by Justina Ireland. It was her debut middle grade in 2021. I had it on my scribd list for a while, and I really think it's going to be interesting. So let's get into it. I originally liked this book because it was set, at least for a little bit, in rural Georgia in the 1920s, and Ophelia, Ophie, and her family live in a small town in Georgia. Unfortunately, it's in the 1920s and she's black. You can kind of imagine where this is going. Ultimately, her father is murdered, and his ghost arrives and tells her how to get out of situations, how to find things, stuff like that. I was all for it. Not for the death, but I was all for her ingenuity and her care and her empathy and what she was doing. And I appreciate the fact that there was something connected between her and her father even after death. Like it was very clear they loved each other and they cared about each other. I definitely preferred the tone to this. If you liked Root Magic by Eden Royce, you will love this book. It's not the same by any stretch of the means, but it's got that same like middle grade comfort mystery read to it, right? And it deals with the paranormal. If for an upper middle grade, I think this is probably one of the best books I've read in a while. I don't remember where I found it. I think I just found it on Scribd one day when I was after I got done reading Root Magic. It was like, you would like this one, and I said, okay, let me try. So I tried it, loved it, 5 stars. Literally, it was a 5 star read. There's just so much to unpack. I'm going to give content warnings now. Obviously, I mentioned some of the death. So there's definitely racism, murder, the KKK, like the Klan is there. But there's also, racism when she moves to Pittsburgh. It doesn't just disappear because she leaves the Jim Crow South, right? And I think that's an important element to add to the story. I also really, really appreciated the fact that there was class involved. And I don't just mean like class of white versus black domestic help, because that was basically the function of this one, but also class within the migrating black community. And Justina Ireland did a really good job of incorporating historical accuracies and stuff like that together. And I found it very well written, well engaged. It was a strong narrative. And I liked the fact that Ophie didn't know everything. She didn't even know she could be like this kind of a medium. She just kind of learned it when her dad died. And then the person teaching her is older, and so she can't learn everything she needs to learn because you can't learn a lifetime in a short amount of time. I'm going to give spoiler warnings here, by the way, because I am going to talk, not a lot, because I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I am going to talk a little bit about some of this. So, discussing the classism and the class structure within what's going on. She ends up having to leave school because they have to work hard to get money, so therefore they can leave where they're staying in Pittsburgh after they've had to flee their home they've always known because the house has just been torched. Everything that they had pretty much is gone, except for the money that Ophie's dad had been putting aside. And so, it gets them where they need to go. They can get the very basics. Mom is working hard. Ophie's having to work hard. It just is a very hard life this young woman is living. And I think that that's something that has to be acknowledged because a lot of times domestic help was often underpaid and mistreated and not given any kind of clarity. And you have different people in the house that are passing level, white passing, I should mention, and not. And you can definitely tell the difference in how they're treated. The lady of Daffodil Manor, which is where Ophie works, Mrs. Carruthers, has got very racist and very demoralizing and demeaning tones to those around because she brought some people from the South with her after she married the Carruthers, and it's not a good story. Like the way from what you learn, it's not good. I'm talking about this because this is a middle grade book. And I think it's important to acknowledge that middle grade books do not have to be like when I was growing up, middle grade books were much less focused on social commentary and what people really go through. And we didn't really have the access that we have now. We had the Select Books Affair, we had our books, in our libraries, and that was about it. But I really wanted to talk about that because I think it adds a lot of layers to this story. And I really appreciate that Opie is very strong willed. And I don't, and like a lot of times people are like, oh, strong willed is bad. But to me, strong willed is great because Opie is like 12, 13, and she's very smart. She catches on, she pays attention, she's very in tune with the world around her, and she learns stuff that way. Like when she talks about the minister's wife back in Georgia and how she responds to them, and Mrs. Carruthers, and Clara, who is a ghost that she meets along the way in the Daffodil Manor, and that's the main mystery that she has to unravel. But also, there's other little small mysteries throughout. So even when the story is solved for the main one, there are still left pieces that have to be picked up, and Island did a really good job of narrating that and putting it within Ophie's growth. I loved Ophie, inquisitiveness and ability to see things for what they are and to acknowledge that she doesn't know everything. These are all really good, strong traits I want to see in more books about women. Well, I guess I should say girls, but there are girls that progress into women, and I think it's what we need because I think there needs to be more representation. Is not just race, right? It's also how we accept things and how we don't accept things, and representation is saying that no, this is me and this is what's going on. I just think it's a fantastic book. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of really great moments and times. And I listened to the audiobook. I think her name is, I think how to say it's Bonnie Torpin did the narration, and oh my god, I was impressed. I listened to this book on Scribd because I love that I can get access to certain books on Scribd that I can't get into my library, even though I've been using my library more. But I really appreciated the fact that Bonnie used different tones, different voices. She set it up. And Ireland, in return, also has areas where the places and the settings also have little narrations every once in a while. And I think it really opens things up and offers a really great view on what's going on in the 1920s during the Jazz Age. And this is not in Harlem, this is in Pittsburgh, which is another, important hotspot for a lot of people. But we don't read about it a lot. And I think that, Island did a lot of research, time, energy. I really feel like it's a book I want to promote. I gave it 5 stars. I've given out, I think, 3 or 4 5 stars this year only. And so this is definitely one that I'm going to say, read it if you have a little girl or a little boy or a child. I just say little girl because I know that as a little girl I would have loved this kind of story that I didn't have. We had things like American Girls stuff, but American Girls was somewhere between like kidlit and middle grade and the seriousness of topics. But I think that this one really promotes a lot of thought and empathy and directness, and I want to see more of that. So I'm definitely going to give it that. And like I said, the narration styles were definitely different. And I don't mean different bad, I mean different as in the way things were structured and the way they made sense. You were in Ophelia's space and you were watching her and tie all these elements together, and it was fantastic. I have to say that. It was great. I want to give this probably one of my top reads of 2022 so far. I don't give those out very often with very much, but I really think this is a book that you guys should read. Okay, that's my review of Ophie's Ghost. Again, I know it's not new release from 2022, but it came out in May of 2021, so it's technically still within the past year. Look at me getting ahead. I will be back with some more stuff soon, but I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. See, I'm getting so much better about that, guys. I'm so proud. And comment below. Tell me if you've read this book or if you've read a book similar to this or Root Magic. I don't know if you can hear it, but if you hear any little snoring, that would be my dog. But please, comment, let me know, because I want to read more of these kind of books. And now that I have Scribd is limiting on what I can read on the amount, but I try and vary what I read. So I definitely want to kind of play it up a little bit. All right, guys. Bye. Have a good day, guys. Don't forget to have fun and go do something special for yourself.